Hey everyone, and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. So today I have another kind of a newer one, a little bit less new maybe than the last one or two that I had taken a look at. As you can tell by the name of the title of the video and all that sort of stuff, this is TS403. This is a Wong design, and it's a little weird. Um, I will say right off the bat here that the construction of this guy does remind me quite a bit of this guy here, one that I had taken a look at a little while back. This is the TS143. This is a night morning design, much smaller, obviously. And of course, this is using micarta and titanium, whereas this is titanium and titanium. But you can see the similarities going on with some of the construction, with the somewhat open center and the liner locks and all that sort of stuff. Just wanted to point that out there. This guy is weird. Let's start off with the handle comfort. Pretty darn good. If you have normal to smaller sized hands, you can get all four fingers very comfortably inside there before the beak on the end. For me, that's a little cramped with my larger hands. But because we have this nice platform on the end, I can get nice and relaxed, and that actually gives me just a little tiny bit more leverage with my pinky. So the ergonomics for that standard saber grip with your thumb on top with the jimping, pretty darn good. Don't have any complaints there. Even if I do cram all four of my fingers here, the flipper tab doesn't feel like it's curving down and digging into my fingers. So it's done really, really well. What does kind of make a little bit of a funkiness with a large beak like this is it's just kind of the way that handles end up going, is it seems to be a little stranger in a reverse grip. That might only matter if the only thing that you're doing is lifting under and cutting straps all day long with a knife. Something that I don't really think a whole lot of people are going to be doing, but if that is exactly the thing that you're looking for in a knife, you probably don't want kind of a more pronounced beak on your handles. So there we go with that. We do have their standard titanium thumb studs. They are titanium. You can anodize them or whatnot. I've done that on a different model, but yeah, they're all kind of the same there. These are the ones that I kind of attribute to Alfred E. Newman because they do stick out a bit because they are quite large. This guy, because the handle width isn't super thin though, don't really have a problem of this snagging on my pants pockets as I'm pulling the knife out, so that's good. Pocket clip's done really, really well. Nice and slim, obviously titanium milled. We have a single attachment point here, but it's going directly into titanium and then three more titanium into the, I don't remember exactly for sure, but Chicago screw that's going through the other side there. So yeah, you can open it up with the thumb stud. Does take a bit of force, so reverse flick isn't actually all that bad either. I say that because it's tuned a little bit more for the flipper tab, and it's a very, very fine line getting that detent to give but not be too difficult to open with a thumb stud as well as a flipper tab, as generally they have a bit of a different characteristics going on there. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of titanium in here, and yet it's a kind of a nested liner lock. I say nested as in it's not a full liner inside there. It is actually carved out of that piece of titanium and then attached in there. Strange as to why they did that. Not quite sure, but probably makes this whole titanium bar kind of a seamless piece. So I think it was probably a little bit more of a design decision rather than kind of building it down to a price point sort of thing. We do have a crazy large lanyard hole here. That's part of the whole back spacer thing in titanium as well. It is proud there with a lot of nice jimping. My thought on that is that will give you a lot of grip if you want to do a reverse hammer grip. Generally not super useful for a lot of EDC tasks. and especially not with much more of a sheep's foot blade on here, because this is all about being able to get a lot more of your triceps into a puncturing kind of thrust, and that's really not what this blade shape is all about. But it's certainly there, and you can feel that that jimping. It's also all sorts of nice if you are doing a nice pinch grip that's not up on the blade itself here. Something that does kind of bother me a little bit is that the thumb studs are directly in the blade path there. But, I mean, on this one in particular, it's really not very difficult to remove those thumb studs if you don't want them at all. Why? Because, you have a better deployment method on this particular knife, at least as far as I'm concerned. And as we can see here, the plunge grind on it, it's actually, even though it does have a sharpening choil, it's nowhere near adequate enough. I made this thing smile like the Joker on both sides just to be able to reprofile. So I haven't really taken much blade material off. I've just kind of increased the edge angle there, and that's already done that. So this is a little bit worse than I see with a lot of other TwoSuns, but hey, it seems like basically no manufacturer is able to consistently nail a lot of sharpening choils in their folders and stuff like that. But let's see. Yeah, anything else to point out? We have an interesting pivot collar going on here. It is not a call-out pivot collar. It is large. It is also titanium, so if you want to anodize that a different color, you can do so as well. But yeah, interesting. I haven't seen this on other models thus far. It's it's understated, but definitely works, especially with this design. I do like it quite a bit. Yeah, so sorry about that. I'm just trying to think of anything else that I may have forgotten on this guy. But yeah, there's a lot of things to like about it. Like I said, I'll go over these kind of nitpicks or whatever. Is that the beak might be a little bit small just for larger hands here. The sharpening choil is kind of balls. Really needed to be much more acute or have a much larger sharpening choil on there. The thumb studs do cover a bit of the blade path there, especially with the most power behind it. But other than that, it's a pretty interesting piece. It is D2, just like pretty much everything else. I have heard TwoSun officially mention that on their Instagram, that they are going to start using N690 and 154 cm blade steel. I've seen N690 now on one knife, and I have another one that's coming to me. What I haven't seen yet is 154 cm, and I'm actually really excited about that. It's a great blade steel. I mean, Kaiser's moved over to it a little while ago. Benchmade used to use it as their high-end blade steel before they moved to powder metallurgy and all that sort of stuff. And it's not that difficult to heat treat. I have had one example from QSP where it wasn't performing very well, but by and large, all the 154 CM that I've had from different companies, fantastic. So I'm really excited for them to be able to use it. It was a knife steel that I said for the longest time I'm pretty sure TwoSun doesn't want to use because it's an American steel, and they generally don't want to pay a lot of those import costs and stuff like that. But I guess 154 cm is being a little bit more affordable for import costs, because I've seen some other companies do that, Kaiser and Trevisa, and let's see, there's probably another one that I'm forgetting. I don't know, Vosteed as well. So it's quite a bit more companies using it these days, which is interesting. It's great. To me, I'm actually wondering why they haven't been using something like ATS-34 or BG-42, both of which are kind of Japanese steels with very similar metallurgy things. But I think after the whole Japanese stir-up stuff that ended up happening several years ago, a lot of those steels are either in limited production or they've just stopped making them altogether. So that might be why. I don't know. That's just kind of speculation. I haven't done a vast amount of research on that. But all right, there we go. There's kind of my standard review. There's not a huge amount going on here that I feel needs to be covered in depth. But of course, we are going to take this guy apart. But before that, of course, I do actually need to do all the stats and measurements. I don't have them written down for this guy here, so we're just going to go ahead and do it live. Let's see. This guy weighs 5.4 5.14 ounces, let's say, or 145.5 grams, give or take that. So it's not super light, of course, but that's kind of to be expected. It is a whole bunch of titanium and all that sort of stuff. Let's see. I did bring over my my calipalulus, so we can measure this, and we got basically 3.75. Anywhere between there and 3.8. I guess it depends on exactly how you want to read these from here. I think I do have it set at 3.8 where it doesn't put that much pressure on the on the jaws. That's the word I'm looking for itself. So there is that. I generally don't look at what those are in inches because I'm not really in the manufacturing industry here in the States, and having very, very small fractions of an inch really don't make a lot of sense to me in my head. But we have 3.2 inches of blade there. That's going to be 81.3 or so millimeters. Alrighty. And handle thickness. We got 3.75 essentially was what we had there. Come on, work with me here a little bit. Yeah, somewhere right around there. But that was the outer ones. It is just a little bit thinner for the top piece there, so that's a little interesting. And that ends up being 14.6 at the widest for it. So, all right, there's the measurements for it here. But if we do some blade size comparisons, there we go. Here it is with the paramilitary 2, trying to line up where those little scale guys start. Here we are with the paramilitary 3, or para 3, sorry. They don't use the military moniker for the little bitty guy. So there we go with a couple of spider cones. Suppose I could do it with the Endura 4, so why not? The Endura is definitely a lot larger of a knife. Alright, here we are with the Benchmade Griptilian. That's, of course, got aftermarket G10 scales on it, but keeps the same measurements and everything for it. Here's another crossbar lock. That's the Benchmade 940, so there we go. Interesting just how different the ratios of Blandel and Hade of handle and blade that these two knives have. And sure, why not? Super popular, and it's probably a fairly useful comparison here. We got the bug out. That, of course, has aftermarket titanium scales, but still remains the same thickness and all of that the original one with FRN does. Here we go. We got the rat number 1. Fairly large knife. Whole bunch of extra blade lengths, but the handles are fairly similar in length. And sure, why not? We got the Elementum here from Civivi. I'll just set all these guys kind of off to the side. Might be a little distracting, as you can see just a little tiny bit going on over there. But you know what? I don't care. But yes, I am going to go ahead and take this guy apart. The action's pretty good on it, by the way, in case you hadn't really noticed. I mean, it is riding on bearings, and we have a decent amount of blade heft going on there. So, yeah, I suppose in case that was something that needed to actually be said, and there we go. But yeah, it was held in by a Chicago screw, the pocket clip there. So that's it at the back. And then we can go ahead and pull this out. I remember putting some Loctite on there. Yeah. So here we are. We got the standard ceramic bearings on the nylon cages there. As usual, there was no burr or whatever on the actual lock interface grind that does happen on virtually all other companies. It's very easy to take care of if it bothers you, but it's actually not really a problem whatsoever, which is why most companies don't really deal with it. But there you go. Here's the liner attached to this guy here, a little lock bar piece, not super huge. And we don't have an over travel stop or anything like that, but we do have that kind of inferred here with the other part of the handle. So yeah, this is a fairly darn interesting kind of construction. A little bit different, but still using the standard Chicago screws and everything like that TwoSun does with almost all of their models. There's a few that are just a little bit different. Oh, yeah, by the way, internal blade stop pen there, so that's good. Yeah, that's about everything I really needed to cover on this guy in particular here. So with that, yep, we got the bearing race. That's the word that I was looking for there. Slap that back on there. And of course, this is kind of an inlay-ish sort of thing. And we can say hello to wrist cam as I tighten that pivot back up. Go ahead and close the blade so I don't accidentally poke myself with it, especially after I've put my own edge on there, which is, they're pretty darn good. For the most part, I do use a guided system, some sort of work sharp paraphernalia, but yeah, there we go. All right, it's back together. All sorts of great, no blade play whatsoever. Nice action. Yep, we're all good to go. So there we go. There's the TS. What was this? 403? Yeah, the 403 here, which is vaguely reminiscent of the TS143, at least in construction here from Night Morning Design. I do like this one a heck of a lot more than this guy here, just due to this being so thick and fairly darn dull out of the box, whereas this one was much more of what I expect out of TwoSun. So there we go. I don't really have anything else to say other than appreciate y'all for watching and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe, please.